Perjalanan Salib is also a pilgrimage where lay people, clergy, religious can follow the Salib. But the destination is not a place, but the holy people of God.
Hi, I'm Kacang Kevin. If you haven't heard of Perjalanan Salib, you will soon. Yes, from April 2025 to September 2026, when the Malaysian Pastoral Convention takes place, you'll be hearing more about the Perjalanan Salib, not to be confused with the Way of the Cross. Now, this is something like a movement where 9 crosses will be moving around the 9 dioceses in Malaysia before being joined into one salib at MPC 2026. To find out more about this, I spoke to Gregory Pravin Rajah and Fabian who worked tirelessly to put this together and to get this off the ground. To begin, I wanted some background about this campaign and to find out the challenges and how they put this all together. Join me now in this conversation on Herald Voices. Gregory, Fabian, welcome to Herald Voices.
Hi, thank you, Kevin.
Gregory, let's start with you. What is your role in Perjalanan Salib?
So, I think about a few years ago, they were trying to form the committee, the Central Working Committee for the MPC 2026. And so there was an invitation for one member of clergy and one member of laity from each diocese to join this committee. So I was fortunate or unfortunate enough to be given the spot to represent the Archdiocese of Kuala Lumpur. So together this committee, you have Father Dominic Tan, the member of clergy, you have myself, and we also have Archbishop Julian, who is representing the Semenanjung bishops in the committee. So inside this committee, in preparation for the Malaysian Pastoral Convention 2026, there are so many areas of concerns and so many tasks and subcommittees. And I was asked to take on the challenge of the subcommittee for the Perjalanan Salib.
Fabian, how did you get involved in this?
Right. So previously I've worked for the Archdiocese as well. 2 years ago as well, I moved on to further my studies. But at the same time, I never actually stopped serving. So Gregory approached me and asked whether I'm okay to help him out with certain. Initially, it was more of the technical stuff, the engineering side of things, and slowly it became more of the coordination and also the think tank team as well, and that's how I got involved.
So I tell this to people, when I meet them and I introduce Fabian, I always say this, in the event of my departure back to the kingdom of God, or to purgatory, whichever one comes first. The next best person fully informed of the Perjalanan Salib would be Fabian Lee. Yeah. So
all the secrets you have passed to him.
I'll pass to him, yes.
Yeah.
The secret book is with you, Fabian. All the information is there.
It's more like secret WhatsApp. There's no book. It's everything.
In my intro, I used the word movement. But to be honest, while thinking of the questions, I don't know what to call this. Is it a movement, a project, a concept, an idea? What should I call Perjalanan Salib, Greg?
How I use the adjective, the word I used to describe it, it is prayer devotion. Okay, so the MPC 2026, the closest word, I think, or rather the best word to describe it in a nutshell would be our local synod. All right, and like the synod that we had at Mother Church level, we are going out and we're doing so much of mini assemblies, so much of dialogue, So for us, we had all our parish pastoral assemblies, diocesan pastoral assemblies, religious assemblies, We had so many abbreviations for it, it was so confusing, but everybody was just meeting and discussing and all that. But the same principle applied at Rome. Before we actually sit down for the synod sitting, we stop for a retreat. We stop for time of prayer. So I think this is the wisdom and the guidance of the Holy Spirit, So we, at the MPC and also among the 9 bishops of our country, they were saying, okay, how do we take a pause, stop from all the, my words lah, from all the business lah, okay, and focus on what is really important. Time of prayer, time of discernment, connecting back with the Spirit of God and not just so much all the details of how our church functions and stuff like that. So they were saying, the salib, the cross, it is the best way to tie in the people, some people will say that the horizontal, is the line between the people, and the vertical is people with God, so it's a sign of connecting everyone. And so when I heard this and I was trying to digest everything, so I told myself, this is what the Perjalanan Salib is. It's a prayer devotion. It's a devotion of prayer, intimacy with God, intimacy with self, and intimacy with each other as we journey towards the Malaysian Pastoral Convention, our own synod seating, So what happens there is not just by man's design or intelligence, but in cooperation with the Holy Spirit, because we had gone through this time of prayer together.
Was it you who came up with the idea, or how did the inspiration come for this?
So the idea, rather to have the salib, to have the cross, came from our bishops, So they told me, they gave me the perimeters. They said, so Greg, we want the cross to be the symbol for us, to be our Malaysian icon identity, and we need it to be 9 crosses, because simultaneously, concurrently moving amongst the 9 dioceses. But at the same time, when these 9 crosses come together, it must still look like a cross. So that was a challenge, because in the initial stages, they said, we'll just have 1 cross, we'll chop it up into blocks, and we send out 9 blocks, and then, it looks very odd to have a piece of cube, in your parishes, and you're having devotion towards that, borderline cultic, cultish and all that. So the task was, it has to look like a cross individually, it has to look like a cross assembled together. So this was some of the parameters that the bishops gave me, and they told me, Greg, make sense of it, and make it relatable to our local community and culture. Yeah.
So was Lego any inspiration for building blocks?
Ice cream sticks, more like it. Ice cream sticks.
Yeah, I remember the first prototype.
The initial stage, was really going bonkers. It has to be 9. It has to look, each 9 can go across and come together as 9. So there was ice cream sticks. There was these ladies and all that. Between Fabian and myself. Then reached out to other creative people. And tried to play around with it. So we had a few. What would I say? Design prototypes, one that looked like a fan, one that looked like a fat cross, out of proportion a bit, or maybe from a distance you might say it looks like an anchor, like this, the San Damiano cross, it has got a V at the bottom, an anchor, to make it a bit more, increase the surface area so we could draw the image of Jesus' face, or we're going to put the Malaysian flag there, but what you see into these images that is being circulated around, that is the final design, how the salib comes together. Yeah.
Well, the final product looks great, and pictures of the salib have been going around social media. There was certainly a lot that went into materializing this concept. Fabian explains.
Right. So I think our longest stage was actually coming up with the cross assembled together, because there's a lot of things that goes into it. The cross has to be tall. So the assembly process for the cross would, when you put all 9 together, would be quite challenging given the size of that one each of the crosses, So I remember cutting up like styrofoams to make sense of things and see how we can put things together, And at one point when I think we have also come up with also a 3D print of how we think it might work. We weren't very sure. We think it might work that way. So it came out with a 3D print and we tried putting things together. Oh, okay, it works like that. So then only we the finalized, I would say the base design only came then. That took actually quite some time. I think we were at it for almost half a year. As for the workmanship, so this one, we managed to source one uncle, a carpenter from Penang. So he's done many works for the Catholic Church in Penang as well. I think we first approached him in, I think May or June of 2023, and we finally received all 9 of the crosses and also the base, everything complete in early August last year, 2024. So after that, it's no longer workmanship, but more of artistry, the decoration of the Salib. And finally, the sculpture, which is still ongoing. It will only be revealed during MPC 2026 publicly, where we put together the 9 Salibs again, and then we'll put the body of Jesus onto the assembled cross. Yeah.
Greg, I saw a post that you posted on Facebook talking about the Salib and the uniqueness and all that. Do you want to talk a bit about that?
The first thing to mention is the word Perjalanan Salib. Okay, so I think many of us are used to the phrase Jalan Salib, the Via Dolorosa, our Prapaskah devotion, our Lenten devotion. So I explained the Perjalanan Salib like this, like we're going for a pilgrimage, So like you and I, we save up money and then we go for World Youth Day, or we go to Lourdes, or we go to Jerusalem. We are going to a holy destination, a holy site. The Perjalanan Salib is also a pilgrimage where lay people, clergy, religious can follow the Salib. But the destination is not a place, but the holy people of God. So who is this selected or desired community? Usually it's the minority, the people in the peripheries, like how Holy Father reminds us. So we take the Salib on a perjalanan to these people, Archbishop likes to use the phrase, last, lost, least, little, So under these categories, this will be the favorites whom which Christ wants to encounter first before he meets all of us, So the one thing is the 9, right? So trying to make some sense out of the cross being a cross, the Salib being a Salib individually, and also 9. So this is what I share. This is how I share it to people, Who here in sane mind, exposed to the world, not living under a coconut shell, would not associate seeing the cross and cannot associate to church. Everybody knows it's a symbol for all of us. You see a small T, that is a cross. That is what the Christians carry. And so individual cross, the Salib, represents the diocese, the Church of God. Okay? So it's very clear. But when you bring all 9 together, it's actually not a perfect fit. Okay? It's an arrangement of 3 rows, and each row has got 3 Salibs, And so the Salib does not fit together perfectly, but it stacks up on each other, I would say. So if you look at the edges, right, it's jagged, it's jagged. So I tell people, tidak teratur lah, right? So, but if you take a step back and you look from a distance, you still see somewhat there is that T there, there is that cross there, okay? So this is how I describe unity in diversity. All right, we are united in Christ. You still see the cross there. The diversity shows that it's not uniform, it's not perfect. It's a bit different. But you know what? That difference makes it special a bit, If you look around the world, there's so many types of crosses, Marian images, so many types, based on their culture they show, And I thought it's nice that Malaysians, we actually showing our struggle at how the cross comes together, showing our differences as how the cross comes together. But it doesn't matter because we're still coming together. So that's the idea behind the design when 9 is arranged together to form the Salib. So the other thing was the usage, or rather the inclusion of the Bunga Raya. So, again, very difficult because our cultures are so diverse, So I was trying to ikut skema So ikut skema Bunga Raya Bunga Kebangsaan kan. So I learned then it's not any bunga raya. It has to be the red one, all right? And because that's the locally from our land, red color bunga raya. And so we got the 5 petals that describes the 5 rukun, But also it's written somewhere online, if we search up, that the bunga raya symbolizes kebebasan daripada jajahan taklukan orang asing, our freedom from colonization, So I thought to myself, that's nice. It's a very nice way of saying it, and trying to use that existing explanation in our culture and tradition, but to use it to explain our faith. And I thought to myself, the bunga raya also would mean kebebasan daripada taklukan dosa. Sebab Yesus sudah bangkit dari salib. Our freedom from sin, because Christ is now risen from the cross. So it's easy for us to connect the 2 dots when we see that, and we see the salib, and we see the bunga raya. Individually, the bunga raya not so impressive. But when you arrange it together, all 9, the bunga raya grows bigger, It becomes impressive. Also to give that idea, church is not an island, it's a community that grows, and all are invited, inclusive. Fabian, anything to say, Fabian?
I think if you look closer onto the salib as well, you will see there is paddy on the design as well. So that represents our simpleness and our roots. European churches will maybe focus on bread because that's their staple. So for paddy, for us, that's our staple. Rice, that's our staple. Yeah.
With so many intricate details inspired by our culture, this certainly could be an icon for the Malaysian Catholic Church. Now let's find out what will actually happen during the next 18 months and how can we participate in Perjalanan Salib.
So what will be happening during the Perjalanan Salib?
The start of Perjalanan Salib is up to the diocese, but officially it begins immediately after the solemn blessing and the commissioning of the coordinators of Perjalanan Salib during MCYD. So from then and until the cross unites again during MPC 2026, each cross, each salib is meant to journey around the diocese towards all parishes. We have asked all the diocesan coordinators to arrange with their clergy, arrange with the laity, arrange their own team to how to make this 18 months journey happen and also fulfilling. So uniquely, the Perjalanan Salib, there is no set program on what each parish are supposed to do. There is no set rules and regulations. You need to do this. You need to have a prayer. You need to celebrate it with mass. There is no such guidelines, But what we do have is suggestions on what they can do with the salib. So normally Greg will introduce the salib like this to the parish, that you take it as an opportunity to celebrate, an opportunity to discuss, an opportunity to pray together, whatever it is, So, on the initial stages of the planning, we've incorporated from the synod and then our pastoral assemblies, the 4 trusts, family, ecology, society, and church. We've included that in our presentation. That is to say, when the salib reaches a parish, the parish can focus on one of the areas. Perhaps they would like to pray regarding family issues within their parishes. Perhaps they would like to do something, not just pray. Means they would like to bring the salib. Let's say, for example, there is an old folks' home and an orphanage nearby the parish, and they would like to bring the salib to these places to, in a sense, incorporate or remind the parishioners of the parish of the values of family and so on and so forth. They can do so. There is no issues with that. Perhaps there are some parishes who have grown beyond the Four Trusts, Family, Ecology, Church and Society, they have grown beyond that. They have other specific issues. Say, for example, they find that in the parish that there is no sense of belonging for the migrants towards the church, although they have been here for many years, and there is no harmony between the different communities, between the local parishioners and also the migrants. There was even one parish where they find there's just no way to communicate, and so our suggestion to them was that why not you just have a football match. Everyone loves football. Everyone understands football. You don't need much communication for that. Why don't you just have a football match and get everyone together, and with the Salib present there, they can just pray an opening prayer with the Salib, and then they continue with the match. So that's what it is, an opportunity.
As mentioned, right, the Perjalanan Salib is not an independent event. It exists because it's journeying towards the MPC. So all that was done before, all the pastoral assemblies, all the parish discernments and whatnot, right, it continues into the Perjalanan Salib. So you don't think of new ideas for the parish just because the Perjalanan Salib is coming. You continue with the issues, So if your issues before was families with single parents, that's your continue the issues. If your issues before was, environmental issues, continue with the issues, right? And also like to tell people, don't be stuck on our formative ways and our rigid kind of prayer exercises, like how Fabian is saying, we just have sports day, all come together, because the sports activity and events can facilitate sometimes better than any group sharing in how to build a relationship among each other. So I always tell them, opportunity to think outside the box, opportunity to try things under normal circumstance might be a bit awkward for us to try. But now because the Salib has come, it is, it's open all doors everything kosong. So apa pun boleh cuba asalkan halal apa pun boleh cuba. So I tell them use it as an opportunity don't be fearful of it
So Perjalanan Salib is an opportunity for us to get creative, to get closer together and unite as one Malaysian church. Now, with everything going online, Greg tells us that we can also follow all the Salibs around all the other dioceses, so all the 9 dioceses, through their website at gerejacatholic.my, and that's in the Bahasa spelling.
Wonderful. Okay, so what happens if now with digital stuff and all that, we can get online? Do we have any access to online? Can we participate in, just say I want to participate in a diocese in Cebu? Because they're doing something. I saw on their Facebook, they're doing this great thing. Can we cross participate in other events?
Wonderful question, Kevin. So exactly, the Perjalanan Salib is not just your parish event or your diocese event. It is a national event, right? Because we are all moving towards the Malaysian Pastoral Convention 2026. So if you go to this website, we actually have, we'll be launching a website soon. The URL is gerejacatholic.my, okay? And inside this website, you will also have some of the journey already taken towards the MPC, such as all the RPAs, the religious assemblies, but there's also a page dedicated for the Perjalanan Salib. In that page, you will see there is the availability to track the Salib moving in all 9 dioceses. So I also remind our parishioners when I'm going around KL to explain to everybody about the Salib. So sometimes we travel around the country for work, for studies, to go and see our balik kampung, not go and see our parents. Sometimes even move around for weddings. So if you think you're going to Kuching, during the Gawai Kaamatan, you can click on that map and see for Kuching Diocese during this time which parish it belongs to. Right. Of course, we wouldn't know where within the parish geography would the Salib be, but that simply means we take the extra effort of giving the parish a call or reaching out to their coordinators, So during this month, where would the Salib be in a particular parish, and we can join together with them. on my part and Fabian's part, we also will try our best to share, over the different stakeholders, or different responsible ministries, to advertise and to inform the different activities and events happening in the different dioceses, so that this might even prompt people to take that pilgrimage out of the diocese.
One thing I wanted to ask you, because Greg, we've had a meeting before this, and you spoke about, so this is for MPC, that's next year, and not everybody can go to MPC. Can you talk a bit about how this helps to bring the whole of community to MPC as well through the Salib?
So I was also asked this question many times by many people, asked in a way very condescending sometimes, So what, we have the Perjalanan Salib, what has it got to do with the MPC, So I reflected and I prayed about it, if I say, right, Perjalanan Salib menuju to MPC, right, so how does it connect? So what came to my mind, or what was the insights, that I thought of, was sometimes we use this phrase, I'll be there with you in spirit. Most of the time it simply means you go and do what you're doing, don't disturb me, it means that. So I thought to myself, yes, the Salib is also an anchor, if I share an experience with someone, if I share memories with someone, and I have a small memento to mark that experience, to mark that memory together. So every time I look at that memento, I'm reminded of that experience, of that memory, and more important, I'm reminded of my friendship with that person. And thought myself, yes, that is what the Salib is, the Perjalanan Salib. So I have this vision, I have this dream, when I see the 9 Salib assemble, coming back together after the whole 18 months Perjalanan, come back to MPC. And the faithfuls, from different dioceses, they see, hey, this is the Salib that was journeying in Cebu. Hey, this is the Salib that was journeying in Sandakan. And they will look at the scratches, and they will see the dents here and there, and they will laugh to themselves, because they know the story behind it. They have the memory there. And they will maybe even tear and cry to themselves, because they know who they grumbled with and who they fought with, who they met with, and the stories that they spoke about. But I think this will also tie us together with God's presence. It will remind us of how the church is actually led by the Holy Spirit, and not by, senior citizen men, in big robes and stuff like that. So then all of us present at MPC, we are really united, we are really there in spirit, not just a phrase to dismiss people, but really truly there. So when I share, when I argue, when I grumble, and when I laugh at MPC, I'm doing it together with all the people I met along my own Perjalanan Salib, the memories and experience and the friendships that were made throughout that journey.
I think this is going to be a rich and edifying experience for all of us if we fully participate in the Perjalanan Salib experience. Now, I asked Greg and Fabian to give us some reminders on how to approach this devotion.
As part of the preparation for the Perjalanan Salib, there were some things that was asked to do as well, especially when it comes to the 4 trusts on the ecology trust, because in family, church, and society, most parishes know what to do. But when it comes to ecology, the first thing everyone thinks of is maybe recycling and things like that. So I was asked to come up with some kind of guideline. How do we focus on a trust, especially ecology? We take the hardest one, how, if you want to choose something and do something towards ecology, what should we do? And in coming up with that piece of literature, I came up, or rather, the word that kept on repeating itself as I was trying to materialize this guideline was be mindful, So as I would just like to give the message that as we journey during the Perjalanan Salib, perhaps that's what we can do. That is to be mindful of not just the Salib, but also the people around you. Start if there is a neighbor that, you have always seen in high-buy situations, seeing them go out with their car and whatnot. Maybe it's time to take a step, take an opportunity, talk to them, so on and so forth. I mean, this is just figuratively speaking of your physical neighbor, but I think that's something we can do in our churches as well. We start being mindful of each other. We start being mindful of the presence of God. We start being mindful generally of our issues, both individually and also as a community.
Okay, first of all, if all our listeners in Archdiocese of Kuala Lumpur, if you're free on the 27th of April, 6 p.m., Archbishop Julian will be celebrating Mass in the cathedral. And at the cathedral, at the end of Mass, the Salib that will be journeying Archdiocese of Kuala Lumpur will be then handed over to the first parish, the receiving parish, Catholic Mission Terengganu. So sisters from Kumaman all will come down to receive the Salib. And thereafter, from the district of Pahang Terengganu, it will move to the district of Northwest, slowly making its way to the district of KL Central last. So, if you all are free, you want to see the Salib, before it comes to your parish, you get an idea, a sense of it, do join us for Mass, 27th of April. I think it's also Divine Mercy Sunday. It's the Sunday just after Easter. And I would like to encourage this idea, when you use the Salib as an opportunity, don't misuse this opportunity by limiting your reach. What I mean by this, so after all the discernment done, you say to yourself, we're going to use the opportunity of the Perjalanan Salib for our parish to address the area of, the migrants, for example. Then you don't go and tell the migrants, the Salib is here, do something for yourself. And then, you just let them be, and then we don't engage them. But here would be, we must find an area that engages everybody. So if we do choose the migrants, there's something for the migrants, parents, migrant children. What about the ministry who cares for the migrants? What about all the faithful who are being indifferent to the migrants? How do we reach out to them? What about our religious community, our clergy? How do we further equip them to understand the needs of the migrants, So have an area, don't make it exclusive, but make it inclusive, Their encounter, the mystery in how God works, is really, wonderful, But the worst thing we can do to it is to limit that grace of reaching out, So whatever we plan, whatever we're trying to do, the rule of thumb would be inclusivity. Semua dijemput. Yeah. So just have a wonderful Perjalanan Salib.
All right. Looking forward to the 18 months of the Perjalanan Salib. Gregory and Fabian, thank you for joining us on Herald Voices.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you to all the listeners.
Kevin.
Yeah.
A big thanks to Gregory Pravin Rajah and Fabian Lee for sharing the meaning of Perjalanan Salib and also getting us ready for the experience of the Perjalanan Salib and getting us ready for when the Salib comes to our area or even to our parish. We'll have more updates on the Perjalanan Salib on our socials, so be sure to follow us on our socials at Herald Snapshot. Also, if you're watching this on YouTube, please do drop us a like and also subscribe if you haven't already. I'm Kacang Kevin. God bless.